Okay, I know this sounds crazy, but a scammer inspired me to expand my business. What happened is that I posted a collage on social media, something from my recent website, and on one of those platforms, someone commented that they had been looking for a graphic designer to do a pet portrait for their son. And would I be interested in doing it? And I was like, sure, that's not something I had ever thought about before, but I know that it's kind of popular. And I love doing collage. I would love to do a pet portrait. I love animals. Great. Yes. Um, I was suspicious immediately because they offered me a very generous payment, not like so much that you think it's totally outrageous, but enough that it seemed overly generous. And so I thought this probably isn't real. But the big challenge of being a freelancer and kind of like trying to get attention online to get jobs is that you get a lot of scams, and it's all different kinds of things. And this is the first time I had dealt with this particular type of scam, although I did I was aware that it existed. I knew that people did this because it's, again, something that comes up sometimes in the graphic design group, and people share conversations that they have. And I think it's a lot easier in those situations, I've noticed, for people who are not involved in the conversation to look at it and say, that's a scammer. But when you are trying to figure out, is this just a person who's like crappy at communicating and kind of flaky because this isn't work for them? Like, clients are not always super professional. Sometimes they're just regular people and they're like, I want a thing. I'm going to email you back an answer to that question in 2 weeks, but I'm going to act like no time has passed. So I get this message of this person offering me money to make a pet portrait for their son. And I'm like, okay. And initially, it was like really vague, short notes, whatever. They were like, can I message you in WhatsApp or Telegram? And I was like, sure, you can message me in WhatsApp. And already that was like, why? Why do we need to switch to a different messaging system? But whatever. So then we're messaging on WhatsApp because they said they wanted to send a picture. And I was like, well, I need to ask you some questions about what you want first, before we get to that point. But okay, I'm trying to be professional. Anyway, long story short, the entire exchange is basically just me trying to sort of push them to either abandon this because I'm onto them, or to expose themselves in some way as a scammer, because again, am pretty sure it's a scam, but I really can't risk screwing up an actual job. And what I ended up doing, in case this helps anyone, is I tried to keep it incredibly professional. I didn't let them skip any steps. I was like, the first thing I need you to do is answer this questionnaire, which has things like, what size print do you want the final product to be? What is your shipping address? Things like that. Just really practical, common sense questions that I would need answered to do a project like this. And they were like, I can't open that form on my phone. And I was like, we're done. Anyway, it was that kind of thing. But the thing that this inspired for me is that I had never even considered doing pet portraits at all, that's fine. I'm not going to go out and try to market myself for pet portraits. It's a very specific niche. If somebody wants that from me, they will find me, is what I feel. But what I did do is this. Um, I think you might also remember that a few weeks ago in a video, I was talking about how I had named my business Rosie Keshik Creative rather than Rosie Keshik Designs, with the specific intention of leaving myself space to expand the business, expand my services and offerings without it sort of not working with the name. So, Rosie Keshik Creative, I can do so many things with that name that it leaves me room to change and grow. And so what I also said at that time is that one of the things that I sort of fantasize about expanding into is offering illustration services. And I was saying that I don't really feel comfortable doing that right now because what I was specifically thinking about at the time was drawing skills. And it never occurred to me, not once, that other people also like collage and somebody might actually like the collage aesthetic, what I do with it, whatever. And so I was thinking in terms of that. I was like, if this person had been serious, like I took them seriously enough that they might want a pet portrait in my collage style. So I'm not going to specifically market pet portraits, but what could I do with that? And so I've spent the last week working on a series of collage illustrations for greeting cards. And another thing that comes up a lot, especially when you are freelance and you work for yourself, is that it's really good to have multiple streams of income, even if they are small. It's just nice to have some diversity so that you might, if something is slow, something else might be working at that point. And then if that slows down, something else might be working. So I am also now designing a series of greeting cards with original collage illustrations on them, which I will sell under the name Designing My Escape, and more details on that in the future. I have ideas about how I'm going to approach this, but nothing is for sure yet. My first goal is to complete 12 illustrations. I have 5 as of today. It's like 3 days into the week, and that's what I'm working on. And I just wanted to sort of share this partly in terms of like, I think it's really funny that a scammer sort of gave me an idea or inspired me to do something basically. I also think it feels really kind of crazy. Like, on the one hand, part of my brain is like as if you need another project. Um, but again, I had been working on how do I create another stream of income. And part of that idea, which is now solved also, is that one of the things that I had come across that it looked like a good thing to look into was that a lot of designers do things like they sell calendars. And I was like, okay, I thought that what they were talking about was more like day planner pages that you have done the layout for, and I could do that. But now I have art that can go on greeting cards, art prints, and calendars. And so basically, that is what I'm doing. Okay,